What's up guys? Today we're talking about the Canon RP and is it still worth it in 2023? Let's go. So the RP has been my main shooter for quite a few years now. I can't remember how many years. I'll pop it in the video here, but this has been my main shooter, whether it's photos or YouTube videos, for years now. Since I got it. I actually did a video on it when I got it, when I switched over to it. That's my main shooter. I like it a lot, and I have a lot of really good positive opinions about it, but it's also my main shooter, and it's the first like nice camera I've actually ever owned. So I've shot a lot of stuff on it, but the question today is it worth it today? Is it worth it today in 2023? So what I did was I just went to B&H and I compared it to every camera that I thought would have been good, or every camera that would have caught my eye right now today for around the same price, so about $1,000. So the RP, the body only is $999 on B&H today, right? $1299 if you get it in a kit with a 24 to 105. $1,000 to $1,200. So I looked at other cameras. How many other cameras? I have 1, 2, 3, 4 other cameras that I'm comparing it to today that sell for around the same price. So we're gonna go through them one by one. We're gonna talk about all the features that they got, all the features that the RP offers, and we're gonna talk about whether or not the RP is worth it in 2023 compared to these other cameras you can get today. So first up, we got the Sony a6400 with a 16 to 50 mil lens. It's $998 right now on B&H. It's got 24.2 megapixel with an APS-C sensor, 4K video, S-Log3, and then it shoots up to 11 frames per second shooting and 102,400 ISO, which is pretty high ISO. 11 frames per second shooting as well is pretty good. All right, the next is Fujifilm X-T30 Mark II with the 15 to 45 mil lens is $999. So you're getting the 15 to 45 with the camera for $1,000. 26.2 megapixel with an APS-C size sensor again. 4K 30 frames per second with F-Log gamma. 30 frames per second shooting, 51,200 ISO. So, and then we got the Fujifilm X-S20, which is a new release, brand new camera. Apparently it is $1299.95. That's the body only. 26.1 megapixel, the APS-C size sensor again. Shoots 6.2K at 30 and 4K at 60. So higher specs there. 8 frames per second shooting, maxes out at 12,800 ISO. Canon EOS R10 with the 18 to 45 mil lens, that's about $1,099. 24.2 megapixel APS-C size sensor again, 4K 30, 4K 60 with crop, and then 23 frames per second shooting with electronic shutter, and then 15 frames per second shooting mechanical shutter, which is pretty impressive actually for the R10. I did not know the R10 actually did that, and I also didn't know that it had 4K 30 and 4K 60. All right, and then lastly, talking about an RP. The RP you can get body only for $999, and then you can get it for with the 24 to 105 mil for $1299. So about $1,300 in with the kit. 26.2 megapixel full frame CMOS sensor. So this is the only camera that I've compared to in this price range that's got full frame. And yes, I mean, I'm sure if you search long enough, there's other cameras that are full frame that are around the same price or whatever. But honestly, every time I look around this price range, I'm not seeing full frame cameras except for the RP. So full frame camera, it shoots in 4K and full HD 1080. The one thing I will say about the 4K on this is that it does not have dual pixel in 4K, so I'd never use the 4K. All my videos I've shot with, I'd never ever use 4K. And then it shoots at 5 frames per second shooting, 40,000 ISO max. Given all that and all the specs that we just went through for all these different cameras, the gist of it for me is this. If you look at, so like, do you think about today's market, anybody can go to YouTube today and say, what's the best camera for $1,000? They're all these people are going to YouTube and they're going out to Google and all this stuff and trying to find out the most information about the camera with the most features for the same price, right? Because everybody wants the most bang for your buck. So all these camera companies are making cameras that are around $1,000. So what they're doing is they're packing these things full of features, right? So they're giving you a smaller sensor, the APS-C size sensor, because all these cameras got APS-C size sensors. The RP's got a full frame. So that's my main thing about the RP. I like that it has a full frame sensor. So they're packing all these features in, like the 6.2K with that Fujifilm X-S20, 4K 60, 4K 30, faster frames per second shooting, 30 frames, 11 frames, 23 frames, all these different things, right? So these are things that people are gonna look at as specs when they're looking online, and they're gonna say, oh my gosh, this camera's got this, it's got 4K 60, it's got all this stuff, right? And they're gonna be like, APS-C size sensor, I don't even know what that means, it's fine. And then they're just gonna roll on through and they're gonna get the camera with the most features, right? So that's pretty normal. So that's the reason, that's in my head, that's the reason why they're doing this, right? They're giving you a camera that's got a smaller sensor but more features. They're also trying to push the boundaries more on video and making these cameras not just photo cameras, but also video cameras too. So like the RP, I said it shoots in 4K, but it doesn't have dual pixel. It shoots in full HD 1080, right? Now, the full HD 1080 on this is extremely crisp. It's one of those cameras that you're like, oh, 1080, that's it. But you look at the 1080 on this and you compare it to 4K and other cameras, and it looks really, really good. So they do, this camera does 1080 like really well. But on the other hand, it shoots 26.2 megapixel stills with a full frame sensor. So, I mean, obviously this camera is more of a photo first camera. And I've shot thousands of photos with this thing, and it does, I mean, it shoots phenomenal photos. These cameras that are coming out today are, yes, they shoot really good photos, and then yes, they shoot really good video, but you also have to think about that sensor size. And most people are gonna be like, well, it's whatever, it's a little bit of a crop, it's like a 1.6 crop, whatever. The annoying thing about it is, every time you put a lens on that APS-C size sensor, you're not actually, like, this is a 50mm lens I have on this, right? I have a full frame sensor, so I pop this lens on there, it's actually 50mm. I don't have to magnify it by 1.6 and back up because it's too cropped in and all this stuff. The other thing that most people just don't think about is the fact that full frame means what? It means more light. So the more light you have, the brighter your pixels are gonna be. The brighter your pixels are gonna be, the more crisp your photos are gonna be, as well as your video, and it's just overall better quality. That's the difference. Full frame versus APS-C size sensors, you're talking about a quality difference. And most people may not, it may not look different to you. But if you're using this camera for YouTube, if you're using this camera to shoot a wedding, if you're using it for your secondary camera to shoot whatever, if you're using it or just getting into photography and you really want a full frame camera, because I mean all the professionals are rocking full frame. They're not going for APS-C size sensors unless they're doing it for a specific purpose. Canon EOS RP today, in today's market, for the money that you pay for, I do think, yes, it is worth it. Does it shoot in 4K 60 at, and shoot like 30 frames per second shooting bursts and all this stuff? No, it doesn't do all that stuff. But what it does do is it provides solid video, and I have proof of that. You can look at all my videos on the channel. They all look great. I've shot really cool cinematic little sequences with it. The video on this thing looks great. So even though it's not a video first camera, the video looks great. So it's got dual pixel 1080. 1080 is really all you need. You can upscale to 4K and you use manual focus if you want to, so you have that option. But it shoots really, really incredible stills as well. You can, if you're just getting into photography, you want a full frame camera, it's perfect for you. You want to start shooting weddings, or even if you do want to get into video and you just want to get a really good camera that's got a full frame sensor with decent lenses, this is your camera, I'm telling you right now. This is a really good camera to get into like that lower end professional field, to get a full frame at a decent price. And I mean, you can pop whatever RF lens you want on it. I mean, you can get a $3,000 RF lens, 70 to 200, whatever you want, and pop it on here and it's gonna look phenomenal, So that being said, there's probably a whole bunch of people watching this video that disagree with me, but like I said, I'm a little bit biased because I have this camera and I love it and I think it's great. Just holding it, it feels solid. So yeah, is it Canon EOS RP worth it in 2023? Yes, I definitely think it's worth it. I definitely would still pick this camera over the cameras that they're selling for the same price today. And overall, yes, she's worth it. So if you guys like this video, please make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all this stuff. If you got any questions at all, please drop them in the comment box below. I will make sure I answer your questions. And what do you think about the Canon EOS RP? Is it worth it in 2023? Do you have a favorite camera that you're using right now? And what do you think about all the stuff that I said about it? So drop it all in the comments below, and I will see you guys in the next video. See ya.